2 months ago.
About 2 months ago.
Maybe a little bit longer.
And I remember the day that I called you and I said, Ruth, we're taking it to the next level.
Yes.
We're taking it to the next level. But before the next level, I want you to just tell the people how you felt before you started this health journey.
Okay.
I want you to go through how you felt during the journey and what God has done for you in this process.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It is a pleasure and an honor. Like, I am her best friend. She's my best friend. And knowing each other for that long, and like sometimes I think about like how having you in my life and a part of my life, like you were always instilling little health nuggets here and there. But obviously God had a plan.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to him and I'm grateful to you for like sticking with it and sticking with me and just always willing to invest. Like even before I became a client officially, you're like, I'm doing this thing, Ruth, and I want to help you. And so like the timing of God is always perfect.
Yes.
It's always perfect. So before the journey, we went on vacation. I was thinking about this on the way up. We went on vacation for Mother's Day, and I was like the chauffeur to two moms, to you and Aquila. And prior to that, I think my health journey, I'm going to talk about it. I like to do build up, right? It's suspense mode. So there's a specific thing that I was working through, that we were working through. And prior to that, my goal was if I can get off my medication, I'll just be better. That was a long-term goal of mine, to go into entrepreneurship, to be a better person. It's like, if I can just check this off, I'm going to do it. I don't recommend this, but I did it cold turkey. And just saw some...
What's that? Get off your medication cold turkey?
I did that cold turkey. And I don't know how you want to, talk about it. But so I did that. And the results were not the best of me trying to do this on my own, And so we went on vacation, and we all came back, but I got COVID. And when they
Remember that?
Yes, and so that was May.
Yeah.
So when they put me on medication for having the underlying condition of diabetes, it was like a huge wake-up call, because I was trying to stop the issue, the problems, the symptoms and everything on my own since late last year. And I don't recommend it, but I never changed my habits. I stopped the medicine, but I never changed my habits. And so as a result, naturally, things got worse. My numbers got higher. And I was just like, Lord, I did a lot of prayer, praying for a miracle, praying for God to do something. And I think in a roundabout way, he has a way of like showing you yourself, your actions and everything. So after that trip and after getting COVID and just how sick I was like, this is not the life. This is not the way. And during that time, I had been listening to this new speaker that I found, and he talked about investing in yourself. And I would listen to this every day. I think I made you guys listen to it, like on the way back at one point. And then one person, our friend, fell asleep. And you're like, I'll listen to it another day. But there was a certain portion of the video or the audio where he talks about using coaches. And personally in my life coach, my mentor, and her ministry has really helped to transform my life, right? Yes. I've done it since 2020, so I've seen results. So I'm listening to this man, talk about, okay, there's some things you can't do on your own.
Yes.
And I think I'm a very independent person. If it needs to happen, I'm going to make it happen. That's, kind of been my mode for so long. So having a coach and having someone to help keep you accountable, it was a beautiful transition of the Lord. And I never applied it to my health. And so listening to that every day, there's literally like a one part of the video. And can you imagine listening to this every day for a few months? And there's a part where he talks about even your health, get your health better. And not only that, he actually uses the example of diabetes. And he talks about how these things are fixable. It's resolvable. You don't have to live that way. And so hearing that, I think everything clicked after I got COVID, and I'm like, I've got to change. And also naturally, the Lord has a way of lining things up. One of my cousins, I hadn't spoken to her in maybe a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And so she met up with me because I'm going to talk about my transition. I have another testimony that I'll probably show on my own channel. And so she met up with me, and then I found out she went to integrative nutrition just like you. And she's like had transformed her life and transformed her health. And it was like the second or third person that I had heard in that time frame that, you know, they changed their eating habits, they changed the way that they live, and they were seeing great results in their health. And talking to her, I'm listening, but in my head I'm like, but I have a friend who, you know, and so at this point, I think that's when the seed of like, she was a health coach. If she can help me, how am I going to do this? Like, to be able to ask in a different way, like, to not just, hey, girlfriend, hook me up with some of them lessons, you know, like, no,
Totally.
like, apply yourself and to say, I'm going to be a client. I'm going to submit, right? I'm going to do the work, right? Because I understood what that looked like when it came to coaching. And to do that in an area where, because I went cold turkey, you're figuring things out.
Yes.
You're pulling knowledge here, you're looking at a YouTube video there, you're, you know, like... You're
So
doing
many voices.
all the things, yeah. And this one said do this, and this one said do that. And so my coach, you know, my cousin, when she realized that, you know, I was struggling with this, she just started sending me videos and everything. So I, after that trip, after getting COVID, I decided I really need to cut out sugar. That was like, I'm going to do that. Like, if I have diabetes and God has blessed me with enough knowledge and, you know, enough information that I had, let me cut out sugar.
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
When you first heard that you had diabetes, how did that sit?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this last time around is actually the second time. I think the first time around, I don't know if it was full blown or just pre-diabetic. It was like back in 2015. And it was very shocking because I had PCOS. And so as a result, I became insulin resistant, and that's how I got it. And so the first time around, I was going to an endocrinologist and, you know, doing the 3-month checkup thing. And so I lost the weight. I got healthy. My primary doctor's like, you're good. I think you're pre-diabetic. My A1C was good. It was like either 6 or below or something like that. And so, hey, great. But I literally, the second time around, I had it and didn't even realize it. Like, my stress levels, my habits were different. I knew I was sick, but I'm not the best patient. I didn't go see the doctor. I didn't, I was in a stressful job. It's not an excuse, but I think the stress of that masked what was happening in my body. And so I honestly felt like I was experiencing the symptoms for probably about a year and didn't realize it. And so when I went in 2019 and they told me, it was just like, no, not again. Like, you know, like the flood of disappointment, emotions, like,
Back in
how am I gonna, yeah.
How did I get here?
And for a lot of people, this is like my first time sharing this because a lot of people didn't know. Like, you know, I was very ashamed to say it. Very, you know, as if it was my fault, you know, to have it, you know, 2018 for all these years, you know. So it was very hard, very hard.
Yeah. I asked you that question because a lot of times we experience things and we have no idea that the person that's sitting right next to us may be sharing that same experience.
That's true.
But shame is not from God.
That's right.
It's not. And it's not that you go and tell your personal business to everyone, but not telling your personal business to everyone and living in shame is two separate things.
That's good.
Right? So consider that you have people that want to help. You have family members that care. You have people that you can share things with. it relieves you of a burden when you're able to do that. So, go ahead, Ruth. Go back into just how you felt beginning this new health journey.
So yeah, beginning the new health journey, by the time I think we talked, because didn't know how to have the conversation, I was fully ready. I felt like God had done all this work on the inside of me to prepare me, to ask, to embrace help, to commit to the process. Because, we've been roommates for years on and off. I had done, let's do vegetarianism, let's do this, and, I've tried the things. And so, I think for me, just feeling like I could fully commit and be consistent, that was hard. And so, it's like, okay, let's embrace this help. So I was excited. I was also nervous. We started actually, it's so strange. We started using Trello to help.
To record.
Yeah, as part of the process, the things that you want us to do and the things that we have to study. And I can remember, because recently I was listening to one of your videos, and I was writing down all these scriptures that you were talking about, and I was like, oh, where do I put it? And I went to go look at my Trello, and I had created this thing in the beginning of January for my health journey, and with my goals and winning and why, and then I had a whole section, one card just for scriptures, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect place for it. So starting the process, I knew I wanted to do it. At that time, I don't think I believed in myself enough. I wanted to be consistent, I didn't want this to be like another thing, another thing to try, and another fad, and I have goals, I want to be a mom one day. There's all the things that I wanted to do, losing weight was a byproduct, but when I understood my why, I didn't just want to talk about health to my future family.
Yeah.
I wanted to exemplify that. And so going through the process at the beginning of the journey to really understand okay, yes, weight loss is a goal, all these things are a goal, but being healthy and being able to have that in your family, that became the motivation.
I'm glad you said that, because that is my heart's desire to create, or for us to start and to build a legacy of wellness.
Yes.
If you watched my videos before, you've heard me talk about when your kids go to the doctor, when they get grown, and the doctor gives them that sheet of paper and say, put on here what the condition of your parents. What type of sickness and disease are they going to be writing down? Are they even going to have room to write down? Do they even know some of the stuff that you may struggle with?
Wow.
Things that in shame you hid, right? Or can it be nothing? My parents are well.
Yes. Yeah.
And I understand different things happen. You can get injured. All types of things happen to us in this life. I'm not saying this is not a thing of condemnation. Please don't get it, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But when you actually do your best in applying the word of God to your life, it yields results. Not just results, but good, godly results.
Yes.
It yields what God says. Right? So I'm glad you saw that, and it wasn't a temporary thing, because how many times we try to lose weight to fit in that dress? Yes. I understand that, but then you gain weight, and then next year you're trying to fit in another dress. It's gotta be deeper than fitting in a dress. Yeah. It's gotta be, your health has to be deeper than a look.
That's good. Yeah.
It has to be deeper than a look. It has to be deeper than a feeling. It has to be deeper than how you seem to someone else, your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be something that you desire for yourself and for your family,
Yes.
for your legacy. Because, mom, what you're doing when you're cooking, when you get in the kitchen and you're cooking and you're making a meal for your kids, they're watching, they're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
they're wanting to model you as they grow older. You remember Big Mama from Soul Food? Everybody gathered around Big Mama, but she was dying of diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And they all went home and made the pie like Big Mama made the pie, made the macaroni and cheese. And it's not that these things are bad, but how are you sourcing your food, right? Are you vetting your food? Are you getting good quality food and making it yourself instead of a bunch of processed items, in your meals? But it's good. It's good to understand the concept of I'm doing this for me and my legacy
Yeah.
versus a temporary situation.
Yeah.
But Ruth, tell us about the changes that you experienced since starting the program.
Oh, the changes are absolutely amazing. One of the first thing that come to mind is when I had to do my food journal.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I think we had been in the process a few weeks, and you're like, I'm not seeing the picture. Like, I'm not understanding. So I had to journal, what my levels were, and then like what my diet was, like what I was eating during the day, because I had, done no sugar, a lot less sugar, with occasional moments, but it's like not just in the sugar. I think I didn't pay attention to some of the other things that were contributing factors to my levels rising. And so like that is one thing that I really appreciated, because it wasn't the most funnest thing to do at all. But after like weeks of it, and then oh gosh, the first time you started grading what I was doing, it was realization, because it's like, okay, yeah, I know you like that, but that's a red mark. That's an orange. And, like, I didn't have a lot of greens. And so, like, I think a few weeks later, after we started talking about it, it was like I was able to see for myself the things that were harming.
Your grace in effect.
Yes, the things that were harming my process and the things that weren't helping. And so it made me more conscious. Like of what I could do every single day to lower my levels, and then I think one thing, becoming more consistent with exercise and finding like what works for you in the right moment, in the right season. Like I think I'm very, as a hardworking person, very tenacious, like, and being hard on yourself, like I think for me it's like, oh, I have to do this amount, these number of days a week and everything. But I think like on this journey with you, it's like I kind of just gave myself the freedom through our process to be like, well, today is not going to be a cardio day. Today just may be a 7-minute thing. Like I don't have to do the dance, and like learning how to adjust even for like that time of the month and different things. Like I felt like
to your body.
Yeah, like this whole process, it like I got introduced to my body in an entirely new way. You know what I mean? And I began to like value it in a certain way, because it, like you said, it wasn't just get me better so I can go do all the things, It was like, no, this is a precious gift that I have.
Yes.
This is the only one I'm going to have. And
Can't
I
get
have
another
to
body.
treat it well. Right. Yes. And so I think there were so many things on the journey that you don't think about. You take it for granted. Like, I'm, starting out, I'm going to get rid of diabetes. I'm going to, see better improvements, with the fibroids and everything. But I feel like it just became so much more than that. And I felt like it was like this big crash course for God to say, this is how I made you. This is what you should do. This is what, you need to put into your body. And this was later on in the journey, but I think we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Like, I finally started reading. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to mention names, but there were people you had me watch, and I'm like, these videos are
like
so...
Barbara O'Neill.
Okay, yes, like, Barbara O'Neill.
Listen, check her out. She knows her stuff.
Yes. And so it's like reading this stuff and doing the things. I'm like, this is so scientific. And then I'm like, there's a whole process going on in my body that I don't even know about.
Or understand.
Or understand.
Yeah, it's what you're talking about is a mindset shift, right? And I recognize when we first started, well, with anyone that I start with, I recognize changing your life in any way, shape or form, you have to change your mindset. I liken this process to the process of salvation, not because it is in comparison to salvation, but there's some common threads. When you decide to give your life to Christ, you've got to get in the Word. If you give your life to Christ and you don't get in the Word, your mind is not going to shift, because now you have to start thinking like God, right? And it's the same thing with health. You have to start thinking like God to understand how to actually properly take care of this body, because He is the one that created this body and put you in it. He is the one that created provisions that's going to sustain your life. So how do you get to health? It's through God, right? Shifting your mindset, because if you're in a place of bad health, that means that you're going in the opposite direction. So the thoughts that you have is not going to take you to where you want to go. The thoughts that you currently have is not going to take you to optimal health. So what you're talking about is shifting your mindset so you could get to where you wanted to go.
Yes.
Right? But I wanted to ask you this question. Tell the people about changes, physical changes that you saw happen in your body and even with your numbers, because we accelerated her journey. Once Ruth got to the place where her mindset was shifted, we actually went on a raw diet for a short period of time. It was 7 days. It was just 7 days, and she ended her 7 days with a fast. But just a short period of time where she ate nothing raw. We took it back to the Garden of Eden. To reset with what God gave us originally for our bodies. Not to stay on a vegetarian diet, but to reset the body, to push out those toxins and contaminants and start afresh, right? Talk to us, when you started that 7-day journey, how did it help you and what changes did you see?
Okay, so it tremendously helped me. One of the main things, and I think it was like the biggest goal, I think, one of the biggest health goals that I had, I finally got under, or I was in the normal range for my blood sugar.
And what are the levels? Like, what's the highest you've ever been, and what did it go down to?
So after I cold turkey got off the medication, and last year, my numbers were okay, I think, for like a few months. But that's because, the medicine was helping to manage, and I didn't realize that my habits never changed. So by the end of last year, the highest I think I was seeing was like 240 something. And then that was becoming like a habit. That was, very common. And so this year was like, okay, January, I gotta do something different. Supplements, all kinds of things I was trying. And prior to coming to you, and I think the highest at some point earlier in the year was like 300 something. And I didn't even realize how dangerous that was until we started. And I was still like, I was getting better because I cut out sugar, so it was going down. But I think I was like still over 200. And you at one point were like, if you don't get past 200, you need to go to the doctor and get back on the medicine to help you manage,
Yeah, and let me just pause right there, because I don't want anybody to think that it's really not safe to get off medicine, especially if you have diabetes. It's not safe to do that. If you're going to do that, make sure you're praying and you're hearing from God and you know what you're doing, because the medicine is helping your body to actually receive insulin, helping your cells to receive insulin, and it needs it, right? So what I was telling Ruth is, if you see a number over 300 and over twice in a day, like in the morning and the evening, you're at risk for a diabetic coma, right? So that's kind of what she's talking about, just to give some of you some background if you don't know too much about diabetes. But it's pretty serious when your number is that high.
Yeah. And so I think I was just like, give me a chance, like I've been cutting out the sugar, I'm going to do better. This is before we did the reset, the raw plan. And I can remember like when I finally like got to under 100, and I'm like, I called you or text you, and I'm like, we're getting there, and you're like, okay, I will keep going with you.
And this was on the raw?
This was before, prior
This
to
was
it.
before.
Yeah, it was prior to it. So I think by the time I got to raw, I had definitely been averaging numbers in the 100 range. I think the only time it went above that is if like I knew I was emotionally eating, you know, stress eating, things like that. So one of the biggest changes was that with the raw reset, I actually got under the normal range, and I stayed there consistently.
Which was?
So when I first, I think it was like 120 something. 120 something, and literally like every day it just kept progressing.
Yeah, because I remember
So,
day
like,
3 you told me it was like
90,
91.
91.
And one day I think
Something
you said
like
it was, what did you say, it was 70 or 81 days?
One day it literally, by the second or third day, I think I had
Yes.
gotten down to like 79, 70
And this is
something.
with no medication, because
No
it
medication.
was so low
And-
that you could not take the medication because that would create an adverse reaction.
Yeah, and you know the interesting thing, like I was thinking this morning how God works. I had been doing these natural supplements because you know I'm like all about my supplements, because I'm like, if I'm not going to do medicine, I'm going to do these things that are good for diabetes. It was like, at one point it was like 5 or 6 items, right? And they were natural and I liked the company, but I remember all of those things had ran out. And I was just like, do I buy? Do I not buy? Literally everything had kind of run out like right before we did the raw. So this was like a good moment for me to see like, okay, wait, this is just the food.
Y'all heard that? It's just the food. Guys, I used to think that food is the slow process to healing.
Wow.
Right? And you've got to, even as a health counselor, because I was trained in over 100 dietary theories. I mean, I was trained by some of the best of the best of the best, okay, in the health field. However, the best of the best of the best is right here, honey.
Amen.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is the best of the best of the best.
Yes.
And I had to retrain my mind through the Word of God to think right as it pertains to food.
Yeah.
You know,
It's Romans 12.
Exactly.
Renewing your mind. Yeah.
So I've known Ruth for a while, for many years, as you know, right? And she's seen me try these things, try blood type diet, this,
Yes.
that, whatever,
Same.
with my
Yeah.
clients. But I think the thing that really started propelling my business forward, it wasn't in all the different things I learned about how to eat.
That's good.
Okay? Had nothing to do with it. Is a lot of those things beneficial as far as how to care for your body in different ways? Yes. But as far as what you eat, it's so many voices.
Yeah.
This is one voice. And it is so simple.
That's the
Y'all,
best
what he
voice.
gave us was not complicated.
Yeah.
It's not, oh my God, eat this time and jump over this hurdle and stand upside down with your head, you know, tilted to one side, you know, and do this time of the year and then change it up here.
Yeah.
Like what God gave us is, I'm going to show you the raw diet in Genesis. Genesis 1. And I think I need my bifocals. So let's see. And God said, let there be light in the firmament. And God made the firmament and divided the waters. And God called the firmament heaven. And God said, let the waters under the earth gather together. And God, yes, here, 11. 1:11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and the herbs yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And when you skip to where, first of all, God made food before he made man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a principle.
Yes.
So whatever idea, whatever thought, whatever thing you know God has placed inside of your heart, He already made the provision.
Yes.
Like the food was ripe and ready
Mm-hmm.
for Adam before he showed up, y'all.
Right.
So for those of you that God has given you a dream, He's given you something, and you're wondering, you know, how God is going to work this out. Listen, He worked it out before you got the idea.
Yes.
He worked it out before you even showed up on this earth. Okay? That's a principle. But here, after man was created, God said to man that this is the foods that you're supposed to eat. The food is given as meat,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's given as meat
Mhm.
for you. And this was fruits and vegetable. Y'all, they wasn't out there cooking nothing, okay?
That's right.
No pots
They told
and
me that.
pans, no dishwasher. Can you
Yeah.
believe it? No dishes filled with sink, no sink filled with dishes. Listen, what I would give to go back for that life. So when you go raw, your life is simplified. You just cut up your fruits and vegetables, your nuts,
Just
your
prep.
seeds.
Yeah.
Praise God. And you just eat and you watch the weight fall off. Did you not lose weight?
Yes, so you segued right into what I was thinking about. So, like, when during all this process, of course, my weight fluctuated, you know, with diabetes and everything, and so I brought this little prop here because back in 2020, I did a vision board at that time, and then I ended up cutting it up and putting it all on the altar, like, do what you want to do with my life, God. Just take it.
Take my life.
Take my life. And so, but like a lot of the pieces stayed intact, so I'm like, okay. So I always held on to it because I started seeing certain things come, you know, into fruition as according to God's will, you know? And so one of those things back in 2020, I made this little thing, and so it says healthy habits, and it's really small, I don't know if you can see it, but it literally says 150. So at the time that I made this, my weight, probably the range had to be between 180 to 170 something to 180. And I think around that time, I think I had been trying to lose weight and stuff, so I probably got down to like 170 something, 174 at my lowest, but it was just fluctuating between 170 something. And when I tell you, girl, I was approaching my weight goal with our process, I think in July, maybe August. I was like, I'm under 160s, like I'm getting close to 150s, and I was super excited. I can't remember the timeline. I think before the process, I was in the 150 range. But I hadn't gotten to this goal, but I was so close. I was just like, during this reset, I know I'm going to make it now, right? Like, I know I'm going to get there, and I just want to capture the day. That never happened. I got past the goal.
And didn't even know it.
Because I think I had finally gotten down just with, you know, changing and everything. Like, I was in the 150 range. But it's like, I think we calculated, I lost 7 to 9 pounds during this week. I went past it, and that was a huge thing for me. And when I found this, I was doing something in the house this year, looking for something. And I found this, and I was like, this is possible. Like, it's been since 2020. That's a long time. But, like, God, you did it. You did it without me realizing it, without me saying, I'm going for 150. Like, that wasn't, like, a conscious goal anymore. Like, I didn't have a number in mind. I just wanted to be healthy. So, but I lost weight. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, people, you know, you look so small. I'm like, yeah, but literally yesterday, I put on this skirt that I had bought a few years ago, and Ashiva, I needed a belt to hold the skirt up. I had someone make a hole in the belt on Sunday.
Non-belt nation.
And I'm like, I could put my hand in the skirt, and I'm like, I have lost weight. Like I could see it in a different way.
Not just people telling you, but see for yourself.
Because I think sometimes I'm like, I still got some. Like, I want to tone, right? So I'm like, I want to see that form and everything. So I'm like, it's still getting there. But I actually appreciate that it was slow. I appreciate that it took time because it helped me to be consistent.
It took time,
Yeah.
but it didn't take time because you lost a lot of weight in 2 months. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like for the average individual that's trying to lose weight, they don't, even on the 7-day raw, you're losing like a pound a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that's not slow. That's not slow.
Yeah.
You may think that's slow, but that's not slow. Okay?
Yeah.
That's real quick. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, we spoke about the weight portion last because I don't want the focus to be weight.
No.
The focus is health.
Yes.
It's bigger than weight.
Mm-hmm.
Weight is great, but it's bigger than weight.
Yeah.
It's how you feel in your body.
Yes.
The clarity, even when you speak, the clarity.
Oh my goodness.
The brain fog.
That is so gone. Like, there were so many times I was just like, I
And
want
this
to
is just
feel
food.
better.
This is just food.
I just want to
This
feel
is-
better. You know, like I want to be clear. I want to, you know, like I didn't understand how diabetes really affected your hormones. I already have like hormonal issues. So it's like, that was so magnified and it affected my quality of life. So it's like, those are other benefits. Like the energy, girl, in my body. I was out here, like, I have these really full days. Like, I'm doing the things. Like, it felt, I was so much more productive. So much more clear to the point, like, now I'm like, you know, I'm figuring out what my new plan is. Like, you know, but I love raw. Like, I want most of the plate to be raw. Like, it has become, it's not a thing. It's like, no, this is just this is my lifestyle now. This is the way, this is who God wants me to be. This is how he wants me to eat. This is like, you know, for me, it's a way for me to be obedient. Because I think at one point I was telling you how I was like, you know, we had been talking about the word and everything. And I'm like, I want to know these health scriptures for myself. Like, I need to figure this out. So I studied Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy 28.
Yes, and I'm like reading. I think we talked about like the blessings and the curse, and I like just reading for myself. But when I tell you guys, like it was like the blessings, they were good.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the curses, and it's like it's just expounded, and I'm like, oh, that's what society is facing today. And I'm like, Lord, we're living in the curse, and we don't know it. And I felt such conviction, you know,
Christians.
Yeah, and so I was
we can
like,
live under a curse.
yeah, and I said it was so much, like you say, like for me, just with what I'm going through in this series I'm teaching, it's like, okay, wait, how can I be obedient in this?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just certain areas of my life, but I want it in my health as well. And like, if this is the manual for life, then how can I take it and apply it to certain areas and not this area? You know,
Right.
and that was the transition for me. Yeah.
Segue. So I want you all to join me on a raw reset.
Yes.
Right? I'm doing a raw reset with a group of y'all. Okay? It's only going to be 50 people. I may open it up for more, but for right now, we're just going to go with 50. Right? So if you'd like to be a part of the raw reset where you get encouragement and you're a part of a community that's going in the same direction, and you have that backing behind you as you go through this, because I'm telling you, when you start getting off sugar and caffeine,
Yes.
and all the bad salts, listen, your body will come after you. Okay? All right?
Yes.
Your flesh will come after you in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Right? So it is a journey. So if you'd like to join or sign up to be a part of this raw reset, it's going to be for Ruth. She did 7 days, but this is going to be 10 days, and I'll tell you why. I go through the scriptures and I see what people do, and I do what people do, and it gives you the results that they got. One of the guys I was looking at was Daniel. He's one of my favorite people because he was a man that lived out consecration.
Yeah.
You see, when he is taken captive by the ruler King Nebuchadnezzar, right? You see where he is now required to eat the king's meat and drink the king's wine, because the king wanted to like raise up these wise men around him, and he wanted to put them through this process to reshape them in the image that he wanted them to be reshaped in, and then present them to himself after 3 years to see who was going to make the cut, basically. Daniel said, I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to defile myself with the king's meat and wine, right? And God gave gave him favor with the prince of the eunuch, and he said, "Bro, let me do just vegetables. Let me do this. I believe it was raw. It doesn't say if these vegetables were raw or cooked or whatever, but basically I believe he went back to the Garden of Eden diet. And at the end of 10 days, it says that his flesh was fat. And this man had increased in wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Okay, in 10 days.
Wow.
So I was like, God, what is it about 10? You know, I like 7 because 7 is God's number, right?
Yeah.
But what is it about 10? So I started looking through the scriptures, 10, 10. And I came across, y'all, everybody noticed the 10 commandments. Guess what the 10th commandment is? The 10th. Thou shalt not covet. I said, look at this. What if we stop coveting the food that is being presented to us? What if Daniel coveted that meat and wine? I mean wine, meat. Hello, whose flesh don't want that? Okay? But he did not covet the things of this world.
Wow, that's good. That's so good.
So when we get to the 10th day,
Yeah.
we will cease from coveting. Okay?
And you told me that would happen, and it did.
And she did 7, but she kept going.
Yeah.
It's like you just don't desire. Is it a fix all? No, because you still need discipline to move forward and to thrive.
And consistency.
Right? And
Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah.
And a made up mind.
Yes.
But it helps to reset. So join me on this reset journey. November 10th, you'll see information on how to sign up for that. This class, I'm going to close it off at 50. I'm not going to take more than 50 people. I'm going to close it off at 50. But I want us to do this together. I want us to do this together. I'm going to be connecting with you all as you're going through the process daily.
That's good.
And giving you encouragement daily and helping us to stay in that mindset. We're going to encourage each other daily for 10 days. And y'all, we're gonna listen, your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost.
That's right. Yeah.
God lives inside of this body.
Yes.
Is it a muck and a mess? If you invited me to your home and it was a hot mess, do you think I'd come back? I probably wouldn't. Okay? I probably wouldn't tell you why, but I probably wouldn't. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's get this thing clean,
Yes.
flowing and growing.
Yes.
Okay? Alright, so I'm going to cut the video for now, but before, I want you to just share just one last thing. Think about another sister of yours that you'd like to tell to join this journey of health. Whether you do it with us, or you do it by yourself, or you just take the scriptures and go through it for yourself.
Yeah.
Encourage somebody to get on that journey to health because it is important. We need it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, if I could encourage someone, I would just say, do it, take a chance, and allow God to really transform your life. You can live in a wholesome, healthy way that God has ordained. And it may not be easy. Like, it took you a long time to get to the state that your health is currently in right now. But the reset, the raw reset, is worth it. It is transformative, and it really will bless you. Even if your health may be good, just do it for yourself, do it for your body, and really learn to hear and to listen and to follow what God is saying in His Word, so that it's not about what other people are doing. It really is about you being in the best place to fulfill the purpose that God has for your life. That's true success. I'm here to do what He created me to do, and this is the way He wants me to live to do it.
That's it. Like, share, subscribe, and be encouraged.
Yes.
Stay encouraged.
Yes.
God is with you, He's for you, and He loves you, and we love you too.
Yay!
Bye.